Her name was Olivia. We met at a friend's housewarming party in downtown Seattle. She laughed like every sound in the room belonged to her. I noticed her before she noticed me. She was bright, loud, magnetic. I was quiet, observant, grounded. Opposites attract, they say. That night, she asked for my number first. I remember thinking how fearless she seemed. We had coffee the next morning and never stopped talking. 6 months later, she was at my apartment almost every night. A year later, we moved in together officially. Everything felt easy. She made ordinary things feel cinematic. I cooked breakfast. She played old songs from her phone. She took pictures of everything. Even burnt pancakes were a memory worth keeping. She liked adventures. Weekend road trips, rooftop bars, spontaneous flights. I liked plans, structure, calm. She said I made her feel safe. I said she made me feel alive. We fit like two puzzle pieces, cut from different boxes. Friends called us perfect. Couples asked for our secret. There wasn't one. It was chemistry and effort, or maybe just illusion. The first year was golden. We laughed until midnight, kissed until sunrise. She'd surprise me with tickets to bands I liked. I'd book restaurants she'd saved on Instagram. Love was a rhythm we both knew by heart. But time changes people. Or maybe it just reveals them. Little things began to shift. She wanted more. More attention. More excitement. More everything. She started comparing me to others. Her friend's boyfriend sent flowers to the office. Her coworker's husband booked surprise trips. She'd sigh softly, pretending it was nothing. But it was something. It was the sound of disappointment. I tried harder. Flowers. Dates. Weekend getaways. She smiled, thanked me, then scrolled through her phone. There was always someone doing it better. I started feeling like an understudy in my own relationship. The spotlight was never mine for long. Still, I loved her. Love makes fools of the logical. When you care enough, you start negotiating with reality. She'd laugh and say, "You worry too much." Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. Then came Ethan. The ex from college. The one who didn't matter. The one she only talked to sometimes. I told myself not to be jealous. But jealousy isn't always about possession. It's about recognition. It's knowing someone else still holds a part of what you love. She'd mention his name casually, too casually. Ethan just bought a house in LA. Ethan's new project with Netflix sounds amazing. Ethan always made her laugh. Each sentence was a crack in the wall we'd built. I could feel the distance growing. I could feel her slipping into memories that didn't include me. And I kept pretending not to notice. Because pretending felt easier than losing her. It started small. A comment here, a sigh there. Olivia would scroll through her phone, smiling at something unseen. I'd ask what it was and she'd say, "Just a post." The way she said it told me everything. It wasn't just a post. It was a mirror she held up to our life. A mirror that showed her what she thought she was missing. She compared us to everyone. To couples online. To friends with grand gestures and cinematic proposals. I started counting her sighs like red flags. Each one meant I wasn't enough again. I sent flowers. She mentioned someone else's flowers came with chocolates. I booked a surprise weekend. She said her friend's fiancé rented a private jet. I was always one step behind her imagination. She stopped seeing what we had. She only saw what we didn't. The worst part was Ethan. He became a ghost living between us. She brought him up like he was an idea, not a person. Ethan would have loved this place. Ethan used to surprise me with gifts. It wasn't malicious, just careless. But it hurt like intent. She said they were friends now. That I had nothing to worry about. But worry doesn't need permission. It blooms on its own. I tried to talk about it once. She rolled her eyes. You're being paranoid. Maybe I was. Or maybe I just knew her heart wasn't fully here anymore. Every time she smiled at her phone, I wondered who was on the other side. Every time she said, just a message, I heard the lie she didn't say. Love became work. Every day was a negotiation with disappointment. I told myself it would pass. That maybe engagement would fix us. That maybe commitment would calm her restlessness. So I bought a ring. She cried when I proposed. She posted the pictures within the hour. The comments were endless. Perfect couple. Dream proposal. Couple goals. For a while, I believed them too. I thought maybe the noise of celebration could drown the silence between us. But silence has a way of finding you. It creeps back when the lights go out. She was radiant during planning. Spreadsheets, Pinterest boards, endless calls. Every detail mattered. Except the marriage. She cared about flowers, lighting, photographers. Not about our future home or shared bank account. I asked once about kids. She said, let's just get through the wedding first. I laughed then. But something inside me cracked. The wedding wasn't our beginning anymore. It was her stage. I was just part of the backdrop. I started realizing that maybe she didn't love me. She loved the version of herself she became beside me. And when that version wasn't enough, she began searching elsewhere. Even if elsewhere meant the past. Even if elsewhere meant Ethan. The engagement should have been the happiest time of our lives. Instead, it felt like a performance I hadn't auditioned for. Olivia became obsessed with perfection. Every decision had to be magazine-worthy. She said she wanted the wedding of her dreams. What she really wanted was attention. I watched her spend hours scrolling through bridal blogs. She built spreadsheets and Pinterest boards. There was a theme, a color palette, a dress fitting every weekend. She talked about lighting, flowers, and filters for photos. She didn't talk about marriage. Whenever I tried, she waved it off. We'll figure that out later. Later never came. The more she planned, the more distant she became. She wasn't my partner anymore. She was a producer, directing her own fairy tale. She would show me sample invitations like a boss, showing a proposal. She didn't ask what I liked. She told me what we were doing. I went along with it because I loved her. Because I thought love meant support, even when you felt invisible. The venue cost $15,000. She said it was worth it for the views. I said nothing. The gown was another $4,000. She called it an investment. I called it a warning sign in my head. Every decision came with a price tag and a smile for social media. She practiced poses in front of the mirror. She rehearsed happiness like a script. I started wondering if I was just another prop. Friends congratulated us. They said we were perfect together. I smiled and said, yeah, we are. Inside, I wasn't so sure. At night, she would fall asleep beside me, phone still in her hand. I'd see Ethan's name pop up sometimes. She said it was nothing, just work talk. I wanted to believe her. But the truth had been whispering to me for months. She missed him. Maybe not him as a person, but what he represented. Excitement, chaos, passion. All the things she thought I couldn't give her. I tried to be spontaneous. She called it forced. I tried to be romantic. She called it predictable. I couldn't win because the game kept changing. The closer we got to the wedding, the more detached I felt. She smiled brighter for others than she did for me. She talked about the event like it was a competition. She wanted it to be the best, the most glamorous, the most talked about. I realized she wasn't marrying me. She was marrying an image. And I was just the man standing next to it. One night I asked if she was happy. She said, of course, why wouldn't I be? I looked at her and didn't answer. Because deep down, I knew the truth neither of us wanted to say. We were planning a wedding for a love that no longer existed. Her bachelorette trip was her idea, of course. Vegas, 4 days, luxury hotel, rooftop parties, endless champagne. She planned it for months. Group chats, outfits, hashtags ready before she even left Seattle. I pretended to be excited for her. She said, "Don't worry, it's just me and the girls." I didn't believe it, but I smiled anyway. She hugged me at the airport, kissed me quickly, and ran inside. That was the last time she looked at me without guilt. The first night, she texted photos from dinner. Smiles, cocktails, designer dresses. Everything looked normal. I was at a cabin in the mountains with my friends, drinking beer, playing poker. Then the messages slowed down. Her updates became vague, short, like someone trying to hide behind words. Having fun. Vegas is wild. Nothing else. It wasn't like her. Olivia always sent long recaps, every detail of every night. By Friday, something felt off. Then I got the text. It was from her friend, by mistake. "Ethan looks so good. Olivia can barely contain herself. Lol." My chest went cold. I stared at the message for minutes, waiting for it to change. It didn't. I called her. No answer. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Still nothing. I texted her, "Is Ethan there?" 3 hours of silence. Then a call, her voice drunk, music blaring in the background. "Baby, I miss you so much." I asked again, "Is Ethan there?" She hesitated. Long enough for me to know. Then she said, "He just stopped by. He's in town for work." Stopped by. At 2 a.m. In a nightclub. I asked more questions, but she ended the call. I didn't sleep. I kept replaying that text, that tone in her voice. The next day, she barely messaged at all. A few pool photos, nothing personal. When I called, no answer again. That night I saw it. An Instagram story from Ethan. A rooftop party. Her laughter in the background, unmistakable. Her bracelet flashing under neon lights. The one I gave her for her birthday. I felt something inside me break. She had lied again. I screenshotted the story and sent it to her. Care to explain? No reply. Hours passed. Then came her final text. "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Don't worry, babe, love you." That was it. A joke, an emoji, a confession disguised as charm. I typed and deleted a dozen replies. Then I wrote 2 words. "Have fun." I sat there, staring at the screen, my heart strangely calm. If she wanted Vegas, she could have it. I was already planning my escape. By the time she came home, she wouldn't have a wedding to return to. I started canceling everything that night. The venue, the caterer, the photographer, the florist. Each call felt like peeling off a layer of my old life. $15,000 gone in one conversation. More fees, more deposits lost, but I didn't care. Money could be earned back. Self-respect couldn't. Our wedding was supposed to be in 3 weeks. Instead, I was sitting in my apartment, deleting vendors' emails. The sound of the city outside felt cleaner somehow. Quieter. Like it already knew I was leaving. I looked at the calendar on my wall. The date circled in red. Our wedding day looked like a bruise. I erased it with one long stroke of a marker. Then I opened my laptop and searched flights. Tokyo. Round trip. 1 passenger. Olivia always said she wanted to go there. Cherry blossoms, ramen, neon lights. But there was always an excuse. Too busy. Too tired. Too afraid of long flights. Now there was nothing stopping me. The honeymoon fund became my new adventure budget. The ticket cost $1,200. The hotel was $200 a night. I booked 2 weeks. I didn't even think twice. For the first time in months, I felt alive. The next morning, she called. She was at the airport, hungover and cheerful. "Vegas was insane," she said. I kept my voice steady. "Did Ethan have fun too?" Silence. Then laughter that sounded forced. "Oh, come on, don't start this again." "I'm not starting anything," I said. "I already finished it." She didn't understand at first. "What are you talking about?" "I canceled the wedding." There was a pause so long, I thought the line had dropped. Then she said, "You can't be serious." "I'm at the airport too," I told her. "But my flight to Japan." She started crying. The kind of cry that mixes panic and guilt. "You can't just walk away because of a mistake." "It wasn't a mistake," I said. "It was a choice." She confessed eventually. A kiss. Maybe more. She didn't even sound sure anymore. I listened quietly. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just let her words wash over me until they meant nothing. When she was done, she said, "So we can fix this, right?" I said, "No, you broke something that doesn't mend." She begged, but I'd already boarded. Her voice faded beneath airport noise and announcements. I turned off my phone before takeoff. As the plane lifted, I looked out the window and exhaled. The city shrank beneath the clouds. So did the version of me who waited for her to change. By the time I landed in Tokyo, I wasn't her fiancée anymore. I was free. Tokyo was everything I needed it to be. Loud, endless, alive. A city that didn't know my name or my story. I stepped out of the airport and felt lighter. The air smelled like rain and electricity. I took a train to Shibuya, checked into my hotel, and stared out the window. Neon lights flickered across the glass like ghosts. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. I was empty in the best way. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm. The first night, I wandered through the streets until sunrise. No plan, no destination. Just walking. I ate ramen in a shop with 6 seats and no English menu. The chef smiled when I said oishii. For the first time in months, I laughed for no reason. The next day, I visited temples in Asakusa. I tied a fortune slip to a wooden rack. It said, "New beginnings come after endings." I kept it in my wallet. Days passed slowly. Gently. I rode trains without knowing where they went. I got lost and didn't care. I watched the sun set behind Tokyo Tower. I ate sushi that melted like butter. I slept better than I had in years. Olivia's messages filled my phone. Apologies, explanations, accusations. She wanted forgiveness. She wanted control. She wanted me to come home. I didn't reply. Not until the 5th day. I wrote one sentence. "I'm not angry, I'm just done." I turned off my phone again. Freedom wasn't loud or dramatic. It was silent, steady, peaceful. By the 2nd week, I stopped thinking about her every hour. Then every day. Then not at all. I started thinking about me again. What I liked. What I wanted. Who I was without her. I realized I had spent years trying to fit into her world. Trying to be enough for someone who never planned to stay. And in losing her, I had found myself again. The night before my flight home, I stood on a bridge in Shinjuku. Lights reflected in the river below. People rushed by, laughing, shouting, living. And I felt a strange kind of calm. Love shouldn't feel like survival. It should feel like peace. When I landed back in Seattle, the city felt smaller. My apartment smelled the same, but I didn't. She was waiting in the lobby. Eyes red, voice trembling. "We can fix this," she said. I shook my head. There's nothing left to fix. She cried, but I didn't. Because love had already left the room long before I did. She asked, "So this is it?" I said, "This is freedom." Then I walked away. And for the first time in a long time, Every step felt like mine. Weeks passed after Tokyo. Life moved quietly, almost kindly. I went back to work, back to morning coffee, back to breathing. But everything felt different. The noise in my head was gone. No more checking my phone. No more wondering what she was doing. I saw couples on the street and didn't feel envy. I felt peace. Sometimes, healing looks like stillness. Sometimes, it looks like walking away without turning back. Olivia reached out once more. A short message. I hope you're happy. I didn't reply. Because I was. Happiness wasn't loud or spectacular. It was simple. It was waking up alone and not feeling lonely. It was cooking dinner for one and smiling anyway. It was knowing I didn't need to chase love to feel whole. People said I was brave. I was. I just chose truth over comfort. And that made all the difference. The wedding never happened. But something else did. I found peace. And for the first time in years, that felt like enough.